that. You know, we will cheapen the movement that happened in 2024 if we just look at it as the overall goal being to reject finance bill. Because beyond that, the Gen Zs told the president, we want you to get rid of the entire cabinet. Why? Because they are not delivering. End corruption. Adhere to the rule of law. Governance is important to us. All those were requirements that were being pushed by the Gen Z movement. As much as we would say that finance bill was, but read beyond what was loud, and you will see, because even when the president sat down with the Gen Zs, it was far beyond the finance bill of 2024. That says that if any leader, any technocrat, any policymaker there would only need to sit down and listen to what was being communicated and change for the better. Whilst we agree our constitution has the problem, but the software that we do have, that is our constitution, has given us how exactly to move. It is the very same constitution that has set term limits, age limits on individuals who are serving in public service. If it is the very same government that is appointing people who are over age, who should not serve because of their age, then let's talk about these job opportunities and how the current government is going against the very cardinal rule that is in the constitution. So I think the push for change cannot be reduced to we did not achieve anything. It needs to go beyond what was being said and to just give Kenyans an opportunity to be led right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, of course, I support that. First of all, I want to challenge my brother here. When you say that if Gen Z joins or takes power in Kenya, we'll have a crisis.
No, I think the word you used was mess.
We'll have a mess. I think that's very wrong, not unless you don't understand and you have not been living in Kenya. Because, you see, everybody who lives in Kenya, even the whole world, has actually admitted that the Gen Zs have something to offer. Right from 2024, as Dennis has said. You see, were it not for that bold move, that finance bill would have been passed, which of course was coming to belabor the Kenyans' lives. Look at this. We agree where the problem came in is because, as I said before, that we lacked order. Like now, for instance, when the president came to X-Space, people were so emotional. You could hear them call him even names and all that. So the biggest problem we have had is because of lack of order and structure and a good strategy. And I think those are the things and loopholes that we're trying to fill moving forward. And I want to tell you, if Kenya will have the Gen Zs in leadership, I'm telling you, our problems will be halfway sorted, because there's nothing good like when you have the vision bearers being on the table. Because the vision we have for this country is that we are saying Kenya is not a poor country. Kenya is, in fact, it's not supposed to be among the third world countries. Kenya is very rich. If you go to places like when you go to agriculture, we do so well. When you go to business, when you go to creativity, actually talk about creativity. Imagine we are living in a nation where majority of the Gen Zs, in fact, they say, we don't need to be employed. I'm not studying to be employed. They are creating employment. They are making a lot of money. Meaning, all we need is just a good leadership that will actually make policies that allows and gives a good environment, if it is for the investors, if it is for the agriculture, if it is for the business people. And you see now, where the problem came in is because after we came out and then we had these slogans, dominating, the slogans of one term, the slogans of two term. That is where we messed up. For instance, I'll give you a very good example. We had a very, very great move and mobilization technique for voter registration called Tuko Kadi. Tuko Kadi was working so well. We even could move from one place to another. We have people massively, voluntarily going to register as voters. But look at what happened. We agreed that we are not going to politicize anything among us for its success. Because the biggest challenge we have in Kenya is politicizing everything. Look at what happened. When Tuko Kadi, the politicians infiltrated Tuko Kadi. And some of us were actually taken in the treachery of actually saying Tuko Kadi means Sijui, one term. Tuko Kadi means Ruto must go. That is where we messed everything because of emotions. Yeah, we agreed. Yes, it is true. If at all, we need to chase this bad governance. That is true.
So you agree with him then?
Let me.
If
No.
I'm sorry. But if in a campaign where emotions took over, you're not really sure which way you were going, then it sounds like you're agreeing with him. Then if positions of governance and leadership, which is a little bit more intense, a lot more intense actually, then you're saying that emotions might actually rule the day.
But you see, we have learned from there. That is why we have risen.
Okay.
Because we have learned from there that it's actually emotions that have actually been derailing the Gen Z's movement. Because like now, for instance, if Tuko Kadi, for instance, remained purely apolitical, without allowing one-term people, without allowing two-term people to infiltrate,
Karumba,
that thing we would have achieved. The 15 million target that we had, we would have achieved within no time. But unfortunately, when the politicians came in, Tuko Kadi was actually completely destroyed to the point that we only registered 2 million and people lost.